literally a few days' time, I will be standing on the elite start line of my first ever London Marathon. I've just put in the training block of my life, and I'm finally ready to tell you exactly what I'm aiming for. Spoiler alert, it might just be my fastest yet. And before I get into exactly what those goals are, the process goals, the outcome goals, I want you to do something for me, and that is use your little finger to click on that subscribe button so that you can be here to find out if I get anywhere close to them with the race video that's gonna come out in a couple of weeks' time. It's gonna be a good one, I promise. Now, if you've been here for a long time, you will know that London means a lot to me. It's a big deal and it matters a lot, not just because it's another major, it's the major that's in the UK. It's something about that race, it being effectively my home marathon. I've never done it before, and it was at a very young age that discovering the London Marathon kind of inspired me to become a runner and to definitely run this race one day. I can remember sitting in the assembly when I was in year 8 or year 9. I'd just taken up running, and I can remember my PE teacher, Mrs. Goff, she was called. Maiden name Miss Hodder, Pippa Goff. If you're watching, or if someone knows you, it'd be really cool to get this video in front of you. She stood on the stage with her medal and her charity vest, having just run the London Marathon. I can't remember what time she ran, but clearly her talking about the atmosphere and the experience of the race really struck a chord with me, and it inspired me. And ever since then, I've gone to London to watch friends and family complete the race in the masses, and there's just something about the feeling that you get, even from the sidelines. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's magic. And every time I've been to watch, it's made me know that I need to do this race one day. And my story to get here and to finally run this race, from that moment of being inspired by my PE teacher, by being inspired by the atmosphere, by watching people I know run the race, hasn't been a straightforward one. Yes, I've run 4 marathons before this one, but there was a time a few years ago where, after relapsing into my eating disorder, I didn't even know if I was even gonna carry on running, let alone run the London Marathon. So I think it's important to reflect back and remember that story that is a part of me and a part of what's got me here, and appreciate how cool it's gonna be to kind of live out that dream of just doing the thing, running the London Marathon, goals aside. So I guess in a way, I've already ticked off one of my goals. Well, knock on wood. I need to start the race and I need to finish the race, but I've completed the training block. I've effectively got there. I'm gonna be running the London Marathon, and that alone is really cool. Now, I touched on this being the marathon build of my life, and I tell no lie when I say that. We have really stretched what I thought I was capable of. We have hit new milestones kind of week in, week out during this training block, and I've been really, really proud of what my body has been able to do. It's been tough, and there have been a few misses as well, but no marathon block is without those, and I think that's what makes you sort of appreciate the journey to get here and the shapes that you get in. But just to give you a little flavor, last time around, my 4th marathon block going into the Berlin Marathon, I averaged 90 miles a week. I got over 100 miles for 4 of those weeks. One of them was exactly 100, but 4 out of 12 weeks, I'm at 100 or over, averaging 90 miles, and I was in great shape. I ran a personal best of 3 minutes and 27 seconds at the Berlin Marathon. So that training block was very good.
Great success.
This training block, different country, different world, different planet, almost. Let me just check how many miles I run last week, because I need to update my spreadsheet. In this training block, my average weekly mileage across 14 weeks has been 101 miles. Last time I went over 104 times. This time, 9 of those weeks were at 100 miles or over, and 8 of them were in a row. Mileage. Completed it.
Completed, mate.
Did that feel good? No. Not all of the time, but it's not about feeling good for 14 weeks. It's about feeling good on one day, specifically race day. Fingers crossed the taper is working its magic. I'm so proud of that body of work. Even if these goals don't come off or something goes wrong on race day, I have this huge appreciation for what we've already achieved. And I say we because this is not just me. I have a whole team around me. This wouldn't be possible without my coach, without Daniel, without my training partners, without my physio. It really takes a village. huge. And I think we all should be really proud of the work we've been able to put in, what we've been able to pull off in terms of the springboard that I'm taking off from in this marathon. And that's as much of an achievement, I think, as the race itself. Maybe if not more, because this is gonna go with me into the next marathon, and we're gonna be building this little tower, stacking these bricks, which is ultimately my marathon career. And listen, I don't wanna look at this through rose-tinted spectacles. There have been, like I said, really hard days, really dark moments, and this isn't to discount those, but I also think every single marathon block I've done has had those hard days and that, I suppose, adversity, quote unquote. Yeah, maybe this block has had the least of that, which is also really freaking cool. So I definitely feel stronger thanks to that body of work. I feel a little bit wiser because every time you go into a block, you know, you're making decisions all of the time. You're learning more about yourself as an athlete, and this is the second marathon block that I've done with my coach, John. I think we have really built on the relationship that we have and putting that into the training and getting the most out of it. And that, I think, is such a huge part of the foundation for what is allowing me to set these really scary goals ahead of London. All right, what you've all been waiting for is to hear the goals.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
When I'm setting my marathon goals, there's a couple of things that I do. You've got the outcome goals, which often I will break down into an A goal, a B goal, and a C goal. That's a C goal, not a seagull. And that helps have options, avenues. If it goes really well, you tick off the A goal, that really, really hard goal is secured. Happy days. If it still goes pretty well, but you have to pivot, you tick off the B goal, also happy days. If you have to pivot a little bit more, and something else comes up and you don't feel amazing, you tick off the C goal, still happy days. This means that whatever happens, you're ticking off a goal, unless of course, obviously you miss all three of those goals, in which case, we haven't won, but we've learned. It's either win or learn, baby. There is no lose. And then I also set process goals. These are what are effectively gonna take care of the outcome goal. And instead of running along thinking, I must run this time, that is all I'm gonna fixate on, you can fixate on the thing that's gonna mean that you'll run the time. Process goals then, I want to be competitive out there. This race is different to any other marathon that I've raced before because it is a women's only start line. What that means is that the elite women's field, I think there's like 15 of us, since a lot of people have dropped out before the race, we start on our own at 9:05 a.m. The men's race and the masses start after us. So we only have the company of the very small elite women's field to run with for the entire race. I will not have a male pacemaker with me like I did in Berlin, having someone with me until the last 600 meters. There will not be endless groups of sub-elite men to latch onto and to share the work with. So I need to be switched on tactically and competitively to be competitive in this race. I also really want to take in and appreciate the spectacle that is the London Marathon. For me, I think that really helps my performance. It's helped my performance in the past by letting that energy in of the crowds. I'm certainly going to need them if I'm going to be alone at some point during that race, which is pretty inevitable when it all stretches out towards the end, or even maybe at the beginning. So a process goal for me is to be able to tune in and take on that energy, maybe give some of it back, and really be able to take in this kind of core memory that I'm creating during the race, but also to know when to tune out, being really focused within myself when I need to do that. And I think I'm going to intuitively know at which points in the race and in the course to do that from the experience I have racing previous marathons. I hope I'm right in that. Another thing I want to do is pace this race smart. That's a process goal and one that I need to tune into more than in the past because of the lack of people around me and not having a pacemaker for the whole race. There are going to be female pacemakers, but I have no control over what those times are and what groups are going to form, so I need to be switched on to my own pacing a little bit more than in marathons where I have had a pacemaker. That just looks like checking in a little bit more with my watch and my rhythm and kind of doing what I do in training, really. Locking in to the right rhythm and making good decisions when crossroads present themselves. And I mentioned fueling earlier on. This one is a constant for me. I've practiced it in my training. It's going to be the same in the race. Those bottles every 5K are going to be my checkpoints. So process-wise, I want to make sure that I'm picking them up, sinking the entirety of the bottle, or if later on in the race that's not necessary, picking up the bottle, fueling myself, focusing on the next 5K and the 5K that I'm in. Aren't you lucky hearing me talk in kilometers instead of miles? It's only because the bottles are going to be at every 5K. I suppose I could say every 3.11 miles, but I know that would annoy some people. I've already talked about how much London means to me, so outcome goal number 1 has to be running and completing the London Marathon. That's a pretty easy one, because even if I have to walk it in, that's not gonna happen. We're ticking it off. And I know that that's gonna be sensational, regardless of the time. Outcome goal number 2, I would really like to run a PB. I think I'm in shape to run a PB. I think we left some time on the table in Berlin with the negative split that I ran, and I know for a fact that I'm in better shape than I was going into that marathon. So a PB is on the cards. Outcome goal number 3, I would really like to be in the top 3 British finishers. This one ain't gonna be easy. We've got some real talent in this race, talent that I respect, but talent that I think I can compete with. Other Brits on the starting line of the elite race include Eilish McColgan, running her debut, Charlotte Purdue, Rose Harvey, and Holly Archer. Now, this is the one that I hinted at in the last video that I wasn't sure whether I really felt comfortable sharing, but here we are. Outcome goal number 4 would be running a time and finishing in those top 3 British positions that can put me in a spot to be considered for a spot on the World Championships team later this year in Tokyo. Now, the qualifying time for the World Championships in Tokyo is 2 hours, 23 minutes and 30 seconds. That's 2 minutes and 17 seconds faster than I have ever run. The B standard is 2 hours and 24 minutes, which is 30 seconds slower than that A standard, and effectively, British Athletics have said that they will consider people that have run that sub 224 time if the spots aren't filled up from people running sub 223.30, and if the athlete is ranked high enough in the world ranking system and they think that you're going to be competitive at the World Championships. So slightly ambiguous, not entirely within my control, but wouldn't it be so cool to race for Great Britain at the World Championships in the marathon? Yes. Yes, it would. None of these goals are guesses or simply aspirational dreams. They are evidence-based, and me and my coach have looked at the body of work that we've put in, and these are scary but realistic goals, and I'm excited to see what happens. And it's funny making this video and saying these goals out loud, knowing that I'm putting it out there on the internet for anyone and everyone to add their opinion if they want to, it's strange. I think in the past I'd have been really scared to do that, but it kind of just feels like I'm celebrating the work that I put in, and whether it happens this time around or not, I know that it's possible. So my message to you is, if you've been waiting for the perfect time to go all in on something or to say those scary goals out loud, it doesn't even have to be related to running, you know, it can be anything in life. Go for it. Let this be your sign to do it. What's the worst that can happen? The way I see it, I have everything to gain and nothing to lose, and probably it's going to be really fun en route. 7 more days of easy runs before the big dance, 8 more big sleeps to tick off. By the time this video comes out, it'll be 2 or 3 more sleeps. I'm excited, I'm nervous, that's normal, I'm accepting that. I'm also very grateful to be in this position, ready to tick off a bucket list race, and to have, I'm sure, tons of you out there supporting me on the day, and even more of you waiting for the result and waiting for that race video to come out not too long after the race. So hit that subscribe button so that you're the first to know about it when that video is released. And in a very unofficial raffle with no prizes, comment your guess for my finish time in the comment section below, and we'll see if any of you are right next Sunday, the 27th of April. And most importantly of all, love the grind.